Hello, everybody. So I just got back a few days ago from the Cannes International Film Festival in France, and I saw 13 new upcoming movies at that festival, and I'm very excited to talk about them all. Those will be non-spoilers, and it'll be kind of rapid fire, just giving my thoughts on each movie in the order that I saw them. Not going to be a ranking or anything, just sharing my thoughts about some upcoming movies and letting them know if you should check them out or not. So without further ado, let's get into things. First off is a movie called Parallel Tales that came out. It's a French film. It's already out in France. Will eventually be out in America. And in general, it's about, like, I'll try not to describe it too much, but it's about kind of this writer who looks through the neighbors of her window and kind of writes stories around what she imagines they could be doing. And when a young man kind of comes into the lives of both that woman and the people across the street, it brings together a lot of drama and conflict. I did not really like this movie. I thought none of the characters were likable, and I thought it was just in general very frustrating parallel tales. So I watched this film, and there's definitely some interesting stuff. It's got some interesting themes about the way that, you know, kind of fiction affects reality, and the way how we kind of maybe perceive the world and get a little diluted. It's got some interesting themes. It's very frustrating. It's overly long. It's very repetitive. None of the characters are likable except for one character played by let me find the name of the actress real quick. Virginia Efira. She's very, very good in this movie, and if you were to watch it, I recommend doing it just for her. But not the best film, very frustrating. Bad way to kick off this list, I know, but Parallel Tales, 4.5 out of 10. Next up is a Chilean film called The Meltdown, about this young girl living with her grandparents in I think the early 90s in Chile. And there's another older girl that she kind of takes a liking to, but when something happens, and people don't really seem to care, she's got to kind of observe and look into things. I think this movie is definitely very slow, and at times it can feel a little unfulfilling, but it's a very compelling story. It's got wider, more interesting political themes. The lead performance of the little girl is very, very strong, and the movie is just kind of haunting in a sense. There's a lot of moments of just like, oh, this is like emotional but a little depressing. So it's a little frustrating at points. I wish it went a little bit further, but it's definitely an interesting movie. So yeah, The Meltdown, 7.5 out of 10. It was definitely a unique experience to watch. Third is Fatherland. This is a German film starring Sandra Hüller from Project Hail Mary, Anatomy of a Fall, Zone of Interest, as a woman who just a few years after World War II, she and her father go back to Germany and Poland and are kind of just analyzing kind of the upper class of that world as they kind of explore the territory and the way people are like, oh, like justifying maybe the reason they stayed in Germany over World War II. It's very slow, honestly probably shorter than it should be, but there's some great performances, some emotional moments, and it's ultimately about connection and kind of similar to The Meltdown. It's a movie about kind of being like, hey, these bad things happen, and we kind of need to admit that instead of just moving past it. So this is a very solid film, Fatherland from Germany, 8 out of 10. Next up, I saw Colony. This is by the director of Train to Busan. It's a South Korean zombie action film, but it all takes place in one building, and they add the new idea of zombies having collective consciousness where they constantly learn from each other, forcing the heroes to adapt. This has amazing production value, really great zombies. It's really creepy. It's got fun ideas in the script, with, like, you know, the evolving zombie stuff. It's got great visuals and action and stuff. It's very scary. But it is much overly long, and the longer it goes, the more the script goes into cliches and generic characterizations and just gets kind of frustrating. So there's a lot of cool thrills and horror moments, but I ultimately found Colony to be very frustrating by the end, and it goes on just way too long. Maybe I'll like this more upon future rewatch, but for now I'd give Colony a 5.5 out of 10. Next up is Paper Tiger. It is an American film by James Gray, director of Ad Astra. This is starring Miles Teller and Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver as a family that kind of gets involved with the mafia in 80s New York. I thought this was a very strong drama about family and connection and the sacrifices you'd be willing to make for family. And it's got great thrills, some great tender moments, strong performances. It's very well shot. It's one of the favorite films I saw at the festival, and it kind of feels like, imagine The Godfather, but it's not about the mafia family. It's about a family that messed with the mafia. So it's very interesting, and it's fun, solid, thrilling stuff. 9 out of 10. Next up, I saw, this is a French animated film called Iron Boy. It's 2D animated. It looks visually gorgeous, great music, visual, sound design. Iron Boy is just such a great film, and I enjoyed it very, very much. And even though it's not a story that's super complex, it's just a sweet film about an adolescent boy dealing with a disability and finding love and dealing with his family sufferings. And it's very sweet, very fun. It's just a very enjoyable time. It's one of my favorite films of the year. It's definitely my favorite animated film of the year. So I would give Iron Boy a 9 out of 10. Next up this is a co-production of like Greece and Japan and all these things. It's a film called Titanic Ocean, and it is about a group of young girls in Japan learning to become mermaids at aquarium, and kind of follows, a very standard story structure of a story about girls dealing with societal pressures and beauty standards and stuff like that. And whenever it's focusing on that, I think the film is very, very strong. But unfortunately, Titanic Ocean also kind of suffers from being overly long, being overly dour. It all too often has issues with its characters just struggling to connect with them and the emotions of the story. So while there are all a lot of strong moments and visuals, this is a movie that ultimately I found unfulfilling in. And then at the end, it becomes kind of an extended visual mood piece for a while. And that's very, very frustrating because, like, if I already don't care about the emotions, going fully into the emotions, completely abandoning plot, it just makes for a frustrating experience for me. So, unfortunately, Titanic Ocean gets a 5 out of 10. I didn't love it. Next up, we have Dernsie, The Amazing Life of Bruce Dern. Now, this is a new documentary about the actor, you guessed it, Bruce Dern. It's a fun, solid documentary about just persistence and endurance and constantly working hard to find success. Bruce Dern has had such a long career, but he's never been this big, crazy, notable actor, but he's found success, found great roles. It's a very strong, solid documentary. My only con is that sometimes for flashback sequences, it felt like they used AI, which is frustrating. But there's a lot of great stuff, a lot of great interviews, a lot of great stars. So despite my frustrations with that, it's still a solid, entertaining, watchable documentary that I would give a 7 out of 10. At number 21, we have The Man I Love. This is an American film by Ira Sachs, starring Rami Malek as a performer in the 1980s dealing with AIDS, who's gay. Sounds a little bit like another film I know. I actually prefer it to that other film. But it's a nice, haunting drama about a man just trying to do his best, trying to make himself look good or trying to make himself feel strong for the people he loves through his struggles while he's clearly suffering, working for his art and the people he loves, but not totally doing the best. At times the storytelling gets a little messy and muddled, but Rami Malek's performance is incredible. There's some strong emotional moments. There's some great moments with the supporting cast, some great musical sequences. So yeah, at times it gets a little messy, but I found it a very strong experience about a very interesting portrayal of this one man. Rami Malek, as I said, is great. So I'd give this an 8.5 out of 10. The Man I Love. I saw a film called Fjord, a Romanian-Norwegian production starring Sebastian Stan and Renata Ronzova as this kind of very conservative, religious Romanian couple that moves to a very progressive Norway village, and kind of the tension that forms there between the two sides. And it's very interesting. It's a film that kind of forces you to look at another perspective that you may not agree with and see the cons, see the merits. And it's a lesson in empathy, and I think it's a very interesting film with a fantastic cast. The two leads are good. The visuals are cold, but they're striking. And it's just a very compelling, interesting film with such a good, strong script. It won the Palme d'Or, which is the big Palme d'Or, which is the biggest prize it can. Yeah, very well-directed film with a sharp script. It is just fantastic, very emotional, and it just forced me to think and really put things into perspective. And it's a really great movie. I would 100% recommend you check this one out when it releases. Victorian Psycho is a British film, and is plain and simple just a fun horror comedy movie about like a Victorian era governess moving in with a big rich family and just kind of going crazy. It is never as scary as it wants to be, and it's never like totally satisfying, but a good fun time just watching some actors be really campy, like Micah Monroe and Jason Isaacs. Just watching them be campy, mess around, have some fun slasher thrills, some fun murder moments. It's far from the most complex movie of all time, but it's good, decent fun. The cast is good, and I enjoyed it. So I'd give Victorian Psycho a 7.5 out of 10. Next up is La Bola Negra, or The Black Ball. This is a Spanish film taken across 3 separate time periods from the 30s to now, about different gay men in Spain and their struggles and their trials. And it's just a film about being who you are, speaking about who you are, living life the way it's meant to be lived. It's beautifully shot. It's incredibly emotional. There's a little bit of drag in the middle, but it's such a visually massive, it's such a massive experience in both emotions and scale and scope and emotion. It starts off with a bang. The first 30 minutes are so amazing and gut-wrenching, and the last 30 minutes are so amazing and gut-wrenching. And there's some great, like, smaller performances by Penelope Cruz and Glenn Close. So The Black Ball this and Fjord are the 2 favorite films I saw at the festival. Just incredibly emotional, incredibly strong, and very moving. check this one out. Just got bought by Netflix. La Bola Negra, aka The Black Ball. I give it 9 out of 10. And then finally, we have another one of the favorites I've seen at the festival, Minotaur. This is a Russian film, or it's filmed by a Russian director. I don't believe they shot in Russia, about kind of showing modern day Russian life as the war in Ukraine rages on. It's showing how people kind of try and ignore these big things and move on with your life. It's a film about the overreach of power, and it shows us both in the grander scale of Russia and Ukraine, but also in the smaller scale of this couple. It's very emotional. There's a lot of stagnant shots that really enhance the film's power. There's a great performances by the cast across the board. And the first half of the film it's a little bit slow, it's a little bit sloggy, but there's something that happens in the middle that is one of the most tense, insane, crazy can't look away sequences you will see all year, and it never lets up until the end, being this emotional, kind of scary, devastating movie about just how far power can go and hurting others and how people just become complacent to it. So Minotaur, 9 out of 10, really, really great movie, one of the best I've seen at the festival. So those are all 13 new films that I saw at the Cannes Film Festival. Let me just scroll through the list to make sure I talked about everything. I did. Okay, well, I hope you guys liked the video. It's very fun to go to Cannes, and I'm so excited to talk about these movies. Go check out so many of them whenever they come out later this year. But until then, hope you liked the video. I don't have any dates for my next video, but some upcoming films that I will be seeing and talking about is Obsession, The Sheep Detectives, The Devil Wears Prada 2, Spider Noir. A review for that is coming soon, so I hope you guys liked the video, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.